Hey, 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 it's Chaos Queen here, and you're listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
Hey, it's Mistress Carrie, and you are listening to Studio 2009.
All right, everyone, it's TV talk time, because here at the Geekcast Radio Network, we talk TV. This is the 150th episode of Studio 2009, only on the Geekcast Radio Network. I'm, of course, TF2 and Mike, and I can't breathe because I'm talking so fast. Maybe I should take a breath. But anyway, 150 episodes of Studio 2009. Steve Megatron and I launched this podcast June 20th, I believe it was June 20th, of 2020, back during the bad times. And it's 2025. It's been 5 or 6 years since we launched this podcast. It has now reached 150 episodes. I'm only recording this pre-intro because this episode is way late because of my health issues and other things going on with my life. I haven't been able to edit this, but this was recorded months and months ago with my good Canadian sister in television, Jennifer Kaufman, Kit Couch Potato. She is amazing. She is awesome. We've done many a podcast in the past. We've talked about This Is Us. We've talked about children's television programming and other things. That episode here is on Studio 2009. But this launches the brand new Origins here at the GCRN. That's right, folks. We are expanding GCRN Origins. We have comics. We have cartoons with Tooncast. We got comics with the Pull Bag. We got He-Man, Masters of the Universe with Powers of Grayskull. We got Origins and Transformers with all things Transformers. We got Origins everywhere. We got podcast Origins here on Studio 2009 with the podcast approach. We got a whole bunch of Origins. Well, we're launching a new one. At the end of 2024, I said to myself, I need something new. I need to do something else. I want to talk TV because we love talking TV here at the Geekcast Radio Network. And what better way to do Origins in television watching or Origins in TV watching, however I'm going to name the name, whatever. And the person I wanted to launch this with, because I hadn't chatted with her in a while, was my good friend, Jennifer Kaufman. We've always had amazing TV talk stuff, and I wanted to launch that with her. So she is the first guest. There will be other guests, I believe. Have we already done mine? No, we haven't done mine. I haven't figured out who is going to interview me for my TV Origins. But Steve Megatron will be on, Optimus Solo will be on, the Comic Concierge will be on, other people. I will have many people. If you guys want to be on the show, you want to answer the 30 questions about your TV watching habits, just shoot an email to feedback@geekcastradio.com, subject line Studio 2009, Origins in Television Watching. So yeah, that's it. 150 episodes. We are still going here, folks. I am still expanding Studio 2009 after 5 years. We've mostly talked about movies, and we've mostly, over the last year and a half, 2 years, from 2023 to 2025, I've been doing this anniversary movie thing. This has a 30th anniversary. That has a 40th anniversary, or a 25th anniversary for whatever film it is. And I like doing that, and I love talking about movies, but I also love talking about TV. So as 2025 winds down, as we have the 150th episode here now, as we approach 2026, Studio 2009 will be not transitioning away from film, but it will be mingling and mixing in a lot of TV talk. So like Rekgar says in Transformers the movie, we talk TV. Do you talk TV? I talk some news. Now the news, don't touch that dial. So what I will say is, now here is Origins in Television Watching with my guest, Jennifer Kaufman. Coming up next here on Studio 2009, only on the Geekcast Radio Network. Enjoy the show, folks. Thank you for listening. As always, I'm TF2 and Mike, and I will see you soon. Listen to the episode coming up next, and I'm running out of things to say because I'm stupid and I should have ended it there earlier, and I'm just flambeing myself now. Holy crap, folks. It's a good thing this isn't radio, because podcasting is not radio. But anyway, coming up next, Studio 2009, Origins in Television Watching with Jennifer Kaufman. Enjoy, folks.
Hey, big guy. Need another car. Afraid this last one ended up in the drink.
Spike,
Look at you.
just turn around and walk away.
You're a...
Spike!
You're a bloody puppet!
You're a wee little puppet man. Ow! Hey, that's enough.
Angel, what the hell happened to you? You look ridiculous.
Get out of here, Spike.
Oh my God, Angel, you're a...
Shut up. What are you people looking at? Well?
They're looking at the wee little puppet man.
Stupid, whiny piece of crap. Yes, I'm a puppet. Doesn't mean you don't have work to do.
There is nothing wrong with your podcast player. Do not attempt to adjust the volume. Hello and welcome back into our studio. You are now inside Studio 2009, only on the Geekcast Radio Network. I am, of course, TF2 and Mike. This actually will be featured both on Studio 2009 as the 151st episode of that podcast, and it will also be featured on Geekcast Radio at some point in the near future. I don't know when, so I don't know what episode number for Geekcast Radio it's going to be. But this is our 150th episode of Studio 2009. We are launching a brand new Origins segment. This has been 2 years in the making, even though it only took us about 2 weekends and 20 minutes. Something like that. That's usually how it goes, pretty much.
Avoid takes you very little time to do it.
Well, I mean, I would like to think after 12 years, because the Origins format, for those that don't know, it started on the comic podcast on the Pullbag, because I didn't want to just do, oh, you're a comic book podcast like every other comic book podcast on the internet. You're going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going to do every predictable thing that every other. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. So I created, at the time, in 2013, it was 25 questions. In 2019, right before everything shut down, I was like, oh, let's look at this again. Let's see how we can expand this. And it went from 25 to 30 questions. And then I expanded everything else. And I went into cartoons and toy collecting and video games. Now I'm like, okay, TV's next, and here we are with the first ever Origins in Television, or Origins in Television Watching. I haven't decided what the actual title of the thing is going to be yet. So that's also why, this being the 150th episode, it's going to take a few months for this to come out, because I still don't know what the hell I'm calling it. As you've heard a few of her sayings here and her laughter, we have none other than Mrs. Jennifer Kaufman. She is back. You heard her way back when, 2 years ago, in episode 57 of this podcast. I don't remember I think it was episode 17, 317 maybe, of GCR. We did children's television programming then and now, and why Paw Patrol is the devil. So go back and listen to that.
I can't believe that was 2 years ago. That does not feel like 2 years ago. What happened? Where did time go?
Yes, I specifically went back and looked. I'm like, wait a minute, because I was looking to grab the link to send it to somebody else, because I was like, what episode number? Like, because I had forgotten that I had syndicated it to both Studio 2009 and Geekcast Radio. I was like, usually most of my podcasts, you ask me what episode number The Simpsons is, or what episode number Batman the Animated Series is, or what episode number He-Man is on Tooncast. I can tell you He-Man is number 10, Batman is number 92 because it came out in 1992. Simpsons was number 80 just because it was number 80. usually I have all that stuff memorized because it's my podcast and I'll podcast if I want to, damn it. But it's one of those things where I'm like, what the hell number was this episode? And I'm looking and I'm like entering like 17 million different search terms and nothing is coming up. And I'm like, okay. And then finally I just like, okay, I'm just going to put in 2 different versions. So I put in your name as like the last resort.
Yeah.
And then I put in Kit Couch Potato as the second last resort. Like, oh, it was episode 57. Got it. Yeah, episode 57 was, I think it was August of 2023, somewhere around there is what the thing said. But yeah, it's been 2 years since we did that show. And right after that show is kind of when I got the idea of eventually doing this. But it's been a wacky 2 years. And it wasn't until I think something happened last year where I started the video game version of the questions last year. And I'm like, what else can we expand this into? And I don't know. I probably saw one of your Facebook posts talking about TV or something. And I'm like, hey, wait a minute. What about that old idea? Like, let's get this going. So here we are, folks. 30 questions, all about talking TV watching and TV watching habits. So welcome to the show, Jen. Welcome back to the show. How the hell have you been?
I am good. Just parenting, lots and lots of parenting. It's funny because I'm going back into the TV world and if we'd done this maybe 6 years ago, boy, it would have been a different thing too, because I would have been like, oh, and this happened and I'm watching this and I watched these 5 things last night, and now it's so interesting because I've had to pare all of my TV watching back and be really intentional about what I choose to watch, and then going back through my history. It's just it's a very different world when your time does not belong to you as much.
Nope. Your time belongs to either Blippy or Bluey and the kids.
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, I would like Bluey is amazing. I would actually I didn't put that on a list of anything I was going to talk about, but we should absolutely talk about Bluey at some point because that is like, it's a fantastic show for adults, for kids, for anybody. It's deep. It's so deep.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's sort of like, we watch kids TV, yes, but also, it's just we're busy doing other things, and the kids are watching their own stuff, and some of it we like, some of it we avoid. But absolutely, we have to be more intentional to grab that time to watch stuff we want to watch. Absolutely.
So obviously, in every Origins, it doesn't matter whether it's TV, video games, whatever. Which Origin? Yeah, was it my girlfriend's a Chaos Queen. She said, this makes no sense. Why would you ask them this as the first question? Why? Because if the answer isn't yes, then why would you have them on the show? So the first question is, did you grow up watching TV, and at what age do you first remember really noticing or falling in love with a TV show? And usually how this goes is, yeah, we know, but like, yes, technically the answer would be yes, but everyone has a different, like, what if your parents didn't let you watch TV? What if you didn't discover TV until you were not living at home anymore? What if you didn't discover television until college or after high school, or somehow everybody has a different origin. That's why these are called the Origins. Everyone has a different origin story. Not everyone started watching TV at 5 years old, learning with Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers and everything back in the 80s.
Absolutely.
But when she pointed that out to me, I was like, oh, crap. I guess I can't ask anybody else to come on any of these podcasts because the first question basically just kills the whole interview.
I don't know. I think it depends. If it's about your TV watching as a child, then yeah, the answer better be yes. You're right. Yeah. There's lots of different origin stories. Some people might have just not really been into TV as a kid, but then really gotten into it. Or some people might have, limits that were put on them. And then when they could decide for themselves what they were going to watch and how they were going to watch, the whole world opened up. So it's definitely interesting. It's funny. I did watch TV as a kid, but my mom swears that she didn't let me watch TV a lot as a young kid. And she even mentioned this at my wedding because the joke was that the wedding was TV themed and all the tables all the tables were named after TV verses or TV places, right? So you would be sitting at Sacred Heart, or the Dharma Initiative or something like that. So she joked in her speech that she didn't really let me watch a lot of TV growing up. But I think, she's exaggerating a little because I do remember falling in love with Sesame Street. I think would be that first show, as it probably was for so many children of the 80s and 90s and 70s, I guess, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it was the first episode was like 69.
69, yep.
Yeah. So, I think that was such a critical part of my childhood. But I think my mom has said that we had a black and white television before that. I feel like they just didn't really watch a lot of TV. So they got a color television specifically so I could see Sesame Street in color because she kind of felt bad. I feel like, all the Muppet, if Big Bird's not yellow, it's like, what are we even doing? So they got a color television so I could watch Sesame Street. And that was the first show that I really watched. But outside of that obvious one, I think She-Ra was the other one that I stumbled upon, which wasn't totally a kid show, but it was animated, so it felt to me like it was a kid show, and that's something that really captured my imagination as a child. I don't remember a lot of it now because I have not gone back and watched the original She-Ra, I think, ever.
Well, this year is its 40th anniversary. You should go back and watch it.
Maybe, right? I did watch the new one on Netflix, which I quite liked, although it was very different. But I think it was just, the characters, the names, the sort of the swords, the powers, like that all really attracted my attention as a child. And while I don't remember the show, I just remember how much I loved the show. And I remember running around, with swords and the little pajamas. And I remember dressing up as She-Ra with the little headpiece. So that was something that absolutely captured my imagination as a child. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, good old He-Man and She-Ra. Yeah, I remember that. We have a podcast on the network, Powers of Grayskull series, where we actually rewatched. We started this in 2012. We rewatched every single episode of every single Masters of the Universe cartoon they've ever done. The only ones we haven't done yet are any of the new ones. So we haven't done the new Netflix She-Ra yet. We are going to at some point. We haven't done that one yet. We haven't done we kind of really did. We did kind of sort of do the Kevin Smith version. We didn't do the CGI version yet, but we're working on it. We'll get back to it eventually. But yeah, the one thing I remember from She-Ra specifically, honestly, is just The Secret of the Sword. It's just those first 5 episodes, both individually as the episodes and as the put together film. That's the only thing I remember from the show, even though I don't think I
even remember that. I honestly, I feel like I remember the image of her holding up the sword. And I remember there was a character named Frosta.
Yep.
I don't know why. I think I had a few toys. So when the new series came out, I was like, where's Frosta? Which one is Frosta? That's the one I remember. I think I was 6 at the time. So I was very young. There's pictures of me with my sister who would have been 3. We're both wearing matching She-Ra pajamas, and my brother is an infant, like in one of our laps, right? So I don't think it lasted that long. My sort of obsession with it, or when maybe it was, it also depended on what was on, right? Because it's not like we had DVDs or even VHSs of that stuff. So if it didn't happen to be on at a time where I could watch it, then it would leave my mind.
Yeah. So if you were 6 in 85, I was 5 when it premiered. It lasted 2 seasons. It lasted 2 years. By 87, it was first run syndication. It probably got a few reruns in 88, 89. I don't know how many
actually, I would have been 6
after that.
I was born in 81, so I would have been 6 in 87.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So
that's fine.
It might have been somewhere around there. That I don't know. Yeah. And now this is Canada too, so I don't know. Maybe it's different. Who knows?
Maybe. Who knows?
I don't know where I was watching it. I've got no idea.
Was YTV a thing back then? I don't think it was it?
Oh, Lord. I think YTV was a little later, but again, at 6, I don't know. Someone turned on the TV and I was like, oh, look at that.
Yeah, look at that. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Pretty much.
As a kid, how much TV were you allowed to watch, and did your parents sit you in front of the TV to distract you a lot?
So no, they did not. As I said, they really tried to limit our screen time. And it wasn't as much of a thing as it is now, of course, because limiting screen time was certainly a lot easier than it is now. But they did not put us in front of the television to distract us a lot. I think when I was really young, it was, we would watch Sesame Street, and there was a period at which my mom would make dinner. So she would make dinner, I don't know, probably around like 5 o'clock. And when I was little, there was a couple shows we'd watch back to back at that time because they were on. So that would have been like maybe Sesame Street, but also like Polka Dot Door. I don't know if you've ever heard of Polka Dot Door. Or Today's Special.
No, I don't think so. I've heard of Today's Special. I don't remember.
You've heard of Today's Special. Okay, so these were, I believe, both Canadian shows that were kid shows, because Canadian television used to be really good for kids TV at the time. And Polka Dot Door was the world's dumbest show. Like as a kid, I liked it, but it's not bad. It's just that the premise of the show was that there were these two adults, and they lived in this house with a bunch of like kind of stuffed animals. I think there was 2 stuffed animals and 2 kind of like raggedy dolls or whatever.
Okay.
And they would talk to them, but they weren't puppets and they didn't move. They would just like put the bear up to their ear and go, "What's that, bear? What did you say?" As though, I think it was supposed to be how kids really talk to their stuffies, because but in a way you're like, okay, you couldn't have sprung for a slightly larger budget and had a puppet or something, because they were just talking to these stuffed animals. And then there was this weird character called Pokeroo who would come in at the end. He was sort of like I don't even know how to describe it, like a clown animal, giant, tall, kind of like guy in a mascot suit. And it was clearly whoever was the man in the show, because the man would disappear, and then Pokeroo would come, and then she'd be like, "You missed him again," and he'd be like, "Darn it!" And you're like, "Obviously, you're Pokeroo. Like, I'm only 7 years old, and it's very clear to me that you are Pokeroo, sir." Yeah. So there was that one, and then there was Today's Special, which, as if you've heard, takes part in a department store after it closes, and the main premise is that one of the mannequins, Jeff, comes to life after the store closes, and so it's his story along with, I think there's the store manager, and they're both humans, and then they have like a puppet security guard and a puppet mouse, and that was really well done. That's a very cute show. But they would play back to back on probably one of our, I think it was TVO or some kind of kids channel, and we would watch that. And then as we got older, dinner time, we would watch back to back sitcoms. So we would watch, there was a stretch of, I think it was like Growing Pains, Full House, Who's the Boss. There might have been one other in there, and they sometimes switched back and forth. Yeah. Those are the ones that we would watch kind of at dinner while my parents would cook dinner. So that was like the time that we watched television, and they didn't really, we did not get sat in front of it at other times for any other reason, really. That was it. It was like, I'm trying to make dinner. Please don't kill each other. Here are some shows. Yeah,
exactly. There you go.
Yeah, basically.
What was the first? Okay, I blame her for this, folks. This is her fault, because it's my own reaction, but it's her fault because she put adult in quotes. What was the first adult show you remember watching? Now, when I answer these questions, my thing is going to be, they were squiggly lines and you had to really angle yourself at a certain angle to see certain
things. I did think when I wrote adult that it might accidentally have another connotation there. But I guess I sort of meant like,
I know.
Kids television. Right?
So what was the first like regular non-kid TV show you remember watching or falling in love with?
So it would have been Road to Avonlea on CBC, which is our public broadcaster in Canada. And I don't know if you are aware of the show, but I'm sure you've heard of Anne of Green Gables.
Yep.
Yeah. You can't live and not have heard of Anne of Green Gables. That would have been insane. So based in that world, Avonlea was the place where Anne was from. And so the author wrote a couple of random stories about Avonlea, and they took some of these sort of random stories about Avonlea and created a whole world of characters based on that, very loosely based on it. So these were stories that took place kind of in that same setting as Anne of Green Gables with all these different characters. And I used to watch that with my family every week, and I loved it. And that's where Sarah Polley got her start. I don't know if you know Sarah Polley, actress from Dawn of the Dead and Go, and now she's a really famous director. That she was the little girl, kind of the main star of that show. And so that was kind of the number one. And then the other one was the Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. And that was something that I watched with my parents as well. In fact, I think we watched that the same night as Avonlea, but it was a different channel. So we would watch Avonlea was on first, and then we'd switch to the non-public broadcasting channel and watch Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, because my mom was obsessed with that, and I loved it as well. Like, that was the first show that I watched regularly. Like, we watched all the sitcoms, as I mentioned. Like, I do remember watching Full House and Growing Pains, but you never really watch it in order, and it wasn't something that I was like, oh no, I can't miss the next episode of Full House, because also I was watching in syndication, so who knew?
Yeah.
But definitely, like, every week we did not want to miss Road to Avonlea and Lois and Clark, and we wanted to know what happened next, and it was kind of like that first appointment television experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lois, I'm home. I had a train derailment in Canada, an orphanage fire in London, and a dam broke in India. Did you make something for dinner? Oh my gosh! What happened?
Lex Luthor.
The rat.
Where's Lois?
She was here just a second ago.
Probably scared witless, poor thing.
Don't worry. I'll have you out of that thing in no time. Okay, let's see now. Do I disconnect the black wire or the white one?
Don't worry, I'll save you. What do you think?
What do I think? Lois, I think you got some splaining to do.
Clarky, if we're going to be partners and we're going to be married, I want to be part of the act.
Lois, there are things I do you can do. Me, Superman.
Me, super wife.
Us, super in trouble. Could you hold this argument till later and get us out of here?
I knew this was going to happen. First you know who I am, then you want to fire me, next thing you're going to fire yourself in the head.
Uh-oh. Eee.
Ay, caramba! You exploded them.
Oh, Clarky. Well, I can explain why they exploded.
Ay, ay, ay. Hola.
Clark?
Yeah, sitcoms are weird. Sitcoms are, yes, you have your season or series premieres and finales. So you get your season premiere, season finale, series premiere, series finale. And those are okay. Season 1 starts, you have the introduction of all the characters and everything else and all this and all that. And you get the season 1 finale, and most of the time season 1 finales don't do too many dramatic things. I mean, if it's been a super successful show, it'll be fine. If it's been super funny, it'll be fine. But as the sitcom goes on, maybe they want to do a little bit more drama to it, or maybe they want to add something to it. Maybe they want to add high stakes to get better ratings for next season to make sure they come back. And they'll do stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, sitcoms generally, other than the first episode and the last episode of every season, you could essentially watch any of the in-between, any of the middle part of that whatever season it is. Like, you could watch season 2, episode 7, season 3, episode 9, back to back in syndication of whatever show it is and not miss a beat, unless somehow those 2 seasons, one character left and then a new character, like, you know the old saying, and this actor is now playing this character in this soap opera, unless that happened, kind of a thing, which it never really did on sitcoms, but like, unless something like that kind of happened.
Oh, it did on Roseanne, remember?
Okay, well, it did on Roseanne, but
that was the big one the Becky, yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, I think that's true to a certain extent. I think especially
to a certain extent, yeah.
When you're younger, you don't really notice or care. Like, if I was watching Full House, I'd be like, oh, right. You can see the differences in where the characters were, but it wasn't, it wasn't enough to dissuade you or to feel like, well, I'm missing stuff. I certainly can't watch this now, I think the first sitcom I really remember watching every week was Friends, and it's because everyone was doing it. And clearly, their romantic entanglements sort of arced the seasons. And so you would, obviously, if you tuned into a different episode in syndication of Friends, because that was one of the series where I would watch both at the same time, because about while it was airing the later seasons, the earlier seasons were all in syndication earlier in the evening.
Yep.
And you would be like, oh, well, okay, Chandler's dating this person, so that's an earlier episode, or so-and-so's dating this person. But it didn't preclude you from watching because the plot was still contained in the episode, much like a procedural. And certainly when I was younger, like it took me a while to kind of figure out where they were on Who's the Boss. Like, okay, what's going on? Oh, this person's a little bit older, and like, oh, are Tony and Angela like openly flirting yet? Like, what's happening? So there was that kind of stuff. But yeah, it wasn't appointment television because I wasn't watching it and I had no idea when it actually aired, right? I just watched it during dinner time. So
yeah. I think the thing though is with the older comedies with stuff like, what's a good example? Technically, I guess I'll say 2 seasons. The first 2 seasons of Alf, outside of the premiere and the finale, you could probably watch any of those episodes in any order of each of those seasons. Like in that, like season 1, you could watch episode 7 and then watch episode 3, and it wouldn't probably really, really matter. That's not how you should watch them, folks. We're not telling you to do that. I'm just saying.
I mean, maybe
that's the way syndication was back then. That's the way, like.
Yes. I mean, Seinfeld is like that too. I think more than anything because Seinfeld notoriously has like not a lot of character arcs in it, and so you really, other than sometimes the wardrobe, it really doesn't matter because they're not. You might be like, oh, right, this is after Susan died or something, but that was really the only kind of thing, because they were notoriously like unattached and not. That's how it worked.
Yeah. After all, it's a show about nothing.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Next up, we got, did you have any favorite TV characters when you were growing up?
Yeah, I think when I was growing up in my younger years, like definitely, I mean, a lot of the characters on Road to Avonlea, but I mean, Anne of Green Gables was always my favorite, even though that's like those were 2 kind of TV movies, I guess, 4-hour TV movies. They kind of aired over 2 nights each. Anne of Green Gables and Anne of Green Gables, the sequel. And like she was my all-time favorite kind of role model, right? She was imaginative and sassy, and I don't know why she didn't like her red hair. Like who didn't want red hair? That's insane. But yeah, she was absolutely my favorite. But I thought this was also a good place to talk about one of my weirder TV eras, which was sort of from the age of, I would say, junior high. So what I must have been like 13 to like 16. I went through a really like deep soap opera phase where I was just obsessed with one soap opera at a time. And I think that's how I got introduced to the concept of shipping, although I didn't really call it that at the time because I didn't really know what shipping was. Right. But I would pick a show and then I would like sort of fall in love with this will they, won't they kind of drama of 2 of these soap opera characters, and it just became like an obsession. So like those were the characters that I remember, like when you think about being obsessed with characters, it was like I watched this really bad Canadian soap opera called Family Passions, which took place half in Canada and half in Germany, although like nobody in Germany was speaking German, but they all had really German names like Stefan and Jürgen and Hans. So there was like a romance between 2 of those characters, Stefan and Kala, that I was obsessed with. And there was like another world romance between Maggie and Raphael. And there was like a Days of Our Lives one, Austin and Carrie, I believe. I was really like attached to those ships. Like that was my thing in sort of in my early teen years in terms of characters. Like I was just, that introduced me to this idea of like that being the driving force between watching something was like, oh, these 2 have to end up together or I'll die, like that kind of vibe.
The sad thing is I found very late. Oh God. I grew up with my grandmother watching Days of Our Lives, All My Children, One Life to Live, General Hospital, all that stuff. But I did not fully get invested for General Hospital. I didn't get invested until like 2002, 2003 when Jason and Sam were a couple.
Oh, okay.
I was 22 and 23 years old at that time. I'm like, oh my God, how the hell am I getting invested in this now?
It's hard, and it's like it's weird because it's a weird exercise in watching television because nothing happens almost in every episode, and then really, like I used to be obsessed with it, so that I would make my parents record the episodes on VCR while I was at school, and then you'd be like, oh no, I missed this scene. And then, I would go on vacation or something and we wouldn't be able to record it. And I'd be like, what am I going to do? And later you're just like, what are you talking about? Nothing happened. Like you could come back a month later and like the plot is still the same, man. You're fine. Sometimes they're still having the same conversation in the same room.
That's right.
But it felt very vital then. It felt very important that I not miss a second of this soap opera, which is kind of crazy. And luckily that era did not last long. I think, just sort of like 13 to 16. And then I was kind of over it. So thank God, because that was intense.
Were you loyal or partial to specific TV networks when you were a kid? How about now?
Definitely not as a kid. In Canada, it's a little different too, because most of the content was coming from America, were made by totally different networks than the ones we were watching it on. Yeah. Sort of our two major public ones were Global and CTV. Not public, sorry, I guess private, like commercial networks were CTV and Global. And I would watch whatever the show was on any of those things that, where it made the most sense, I guess. Yep. I had no really concept of that. And as I went through a real big ABC phase in my mid-20s when they had that huge resurgence with Lost and Desperate Housewives and Grey's Anatomy, I became like an ABC loyalist because I was so interested in the story of how they were like fourth and they shot to number one with all these shows that the guy who was fired had greenlit, right? I think it was Lloyd Braun was his name, and he had greenlit all these shows. But because he hadn't gotten the numbers up before, he got fired before they all premiered, and then they all like were smashes, right? And it was like this interesting hook of a story from 2004. So I went through an ABC loyalist phase. And now, and I guess, I went through a bit of that like WB phase as well, where like all the shows that I really liked were kind of on the WB, when you were watching Buffy and Angel and like the teen shows, even though I wasn't watching them on the WB because we didn't get that here. I was really into that culture of like the WB as being like the place where all the cool teens and early 20s people like hung out and watched stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Wasn't Lloyd Braun just a character on Seinfeld? I swear, I don't know. I'd have to.
I don't know, man. I gotta look that up. I'm pretty sure that his name was Lloyd Braun. He was the guy who like greenlit this stuff and then was fired before it premiered. Yeah, and it was one of the craziest years of television either, because those were some of the biggest smashes and kind of signaled in a new era of network television. Yeah,
network TV was back.
I mean,
baby.
My God, Grey's Anatomy is still on from that season. That was a mid-season show, so it wasn't. It didn't premiere 2004. It premiered 2005, but it had already been greenlit, and the first episodes had been made. It premiered in 2005 after the Christmas holidays, and that show was still on the air. Like that's insane to think about. About how many years have passed since then, and that show is still on the air. Wow. I mean,
20 years.
Yeah, same with stuff like when it's animated or something like The Simpsons, it feels a little different because it's sort of like these are cartoon characters that don't really age or change that much. But like to have a show with actors and these like on the air for like it's wild.
Crazy.
Wild.
Absolutely crazy. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. When streaming came along, did you resist it at first? What was the first streaming show that you were in that drew you in?
No, I definitely didn't resist. I mean, I always thought that I would still want to own physical things because I was really into collecting DVDs. But as soon as Netflix was sort of like available, like I got into House of Cards right away because it was just low hanging fruit. And it was easy to watch. And so I did the House of Cards and the Orange is the New Black thing right off the bat and was really into both of those.
Still to this day, I've never seen either of them. I've watched everything else on Netflix. I've never watched either one of them.
I mean, in retrospect, House of Cards obviously kind of turned out in a bad place. And, with Kevin Spacey and everything. But the first season was really compelling. But Orange is the New Black was a really good show because it was a stealth show that really introduced diverse characters in a different way. Because the first season was sort of based on this book by this white woman who went to jail for being involved in sort of selling drugs. So her character Piper goes to this all women's prison, and it's sort of about, this sort of waspy woman, like, what am I doing here? How do I fit in? Like, this is crazy. But very quickly that premise was kind of like sidelined to become really a show about a strong group of Black characters and Latina characters and Asian characters and different cultures within prisons, lesbian characters, queer characters, older characters, people of all different weights and types of faces and just abilities. It was a very cool way to have a bunch of diverse characters on screen, especially diverse female characters. So yeah, I would recommend that one for sure to watch. I don't recommend anybody bother with House of Cards at this point, but it was fun at the time.
Fun at the time. Times they are changing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy. Do you still watch broadcast TV or cable? Why or why not?
I do not, because I do not have it. I cut the cord, or the literal fake, I don't know, it's not really a cord, but the metaphorical cord a while ago, because I never turned on the television for the purposes of doing that. And I would PVR things and they would just pile up on my PVR and I just wasn't watching them. I go to my parents' house a couple times a year to watch the Oscars and a bunch of other award shows because I'm a bit of a award show nut. But that's really it. I do watch a lot of shows that are on broadcast, but I watch them when they end up on streaming.
On streaming, yeah.
And so in Canada, that's either, obviously the Disney Plus stuff will end up, the ABC Fox stuff often ends up on Disney Plus. And then we've got Crave here. So the stuff that ends up on CTV in Canada, which can come from all over, often ends up on Crave after the fact. And there are some shows that I just have never checked out simply because they haven't ended up anywhere and I haven't bothered to go out of my way to find them or to seek them out outside of all the streaming services. And I have all of the streaming services because let's say we definitely do not share them with random people. No, we would never do that. But we have Apple TV and Disney Plus and Crave and Netflix, and people that we know and definitely don't share with have Paramount and Acorn, a bunch of other ones too. Yeah, there's a lot.
There's so many of them.
Prime. I forgot Prime. Prime's a big one. Yeah, we have that too.
Prime's a big one. Yep. I don't even know. So I had moved from Washington State to Indiana in 2022. This is more for you than for the listeners, because I'm pretty sure the listeners have heard me say in the last 3 years that unfortunately Karen, my late wife, had passed away in 2021. I had to move from Washington to here.
Yes.
I've been here for 3 years. And even before the move, our TV, we were streaming everything.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, like, I couldn't even tell you what, like, I know one local channel out in Vancouver, Washington. I mean, technically it was Portland, Oregon's channel, but it was syndicated across the river to Vancouver because Vancouver is right across the river from Portland, Oregon. So, but here in Indiana, I'm in Anderson. I'm 45 minutes northeast of Indianapolis, and I can sit here and tell that to people. It's fine. It's not that big of a deal. But it's one of those things where I wouldn't even, like, I think CBS Indy 4 is the only channel I remember, because I remember when I moved here 3 years ago, I was like, oh, I should go to Facebook and look and see which Facebook pages for whatever network or what, and it didn't matter. CBS, ABC, whatever. I was just looking for what I was looking for was local weather, really, just to find a local weather spot, because whatever, kind of thing. But I have not, my TV is a 55-inch flat panel Sharp TV that I bought in 2018. It is finally mounted to a wall in this apartment. And it's nothing but streaming. It's nothing but streaming. I know it has obviously broadcast whatever, but just, I don't know. I just don't.
It's just too easy. Anymore. Easy to stream, and there's so many options that going outside of that feels like work in a weird way. And I knew you had moved, But honestly, I knew it was somewhere in the heartland, but I don't really know where all those places are. Kind of in my head, I was like, for some reason, I thought that when we did our last two podcasts, which was after you had moved, that you were in a different time zone. Clearly you weren't.
No.
Right? So like I knew your history and I knew that you had moved from somewhere, but I didn't know that meant you switched time zones, and I wasn't even sure, like Indiana, no offense, but I could have said like Ohio or like Iowa. I was like,
all the same.
Like that. And those are probably in the same time zone as me, but I didn't even know that or think about I don't know, man.
They are. Yep.
That's just my ignorance too about American geography.
But it's okay. I'm sure I'm just as look.
I'm just saying.
Niagara Falls, you can still go over in a barrel, right? I went over in a barrel in 1992. I was 12 years old. I survived. You can still go over in a barrel, right? Come on now. No, it's fine. It's not that big
I just
of a
want
deal.
you to know that it's not that I did not remember that you moved.
No. It's fine. No. It's fine. The award, you mentioned the award shows. I loathe award shows in general because I don't like it's the process of how the awards are selected to be given out to various people.
Yeah, that's
and
fair.
That's what I don't like about it. I like that people win. I think that it's great when certain people win. But what I like about award shows are moments that we sometimes get.
Like when people slap people on live television?
No, not that moment. I do not like that moment. No, that was a thing. You're absolutely right.
I liked it, but it was something.
Yeah, it was something, but that was not a good moment whatsoever at all. No. I'm talking about the good moments, the moments you don't expect, the moments where, Fuller's going to drink another Pepsi. Fuller, you're sleeping alone tonight, Fuller. Fuller, almost 30 years later, because, shit. It's the 35th anniversary of Home Alone. 1990, 2025, 35th anniversary of Home Alone this year. Kieran Culkin, his speech. Yeah. Oh my God.
What was so great about that in the first place was that, he was already a lauded actor on television. He'd done movies and stuff, but he was in Succession and he had won this Emmy last year. And so he made that joke about, my wife said if I win an Emmy, we can have a third kid. And then, he said in the parking lot, oh, well, I actually want 4. And she said, oh, honey, I'll give you 4 when you win an Oscar. And the funny thing about that is that there wasn't really any likelihood last year at all of Kieran Culkin winning an Oscar because he hadn't done any big movies in a while. It wasn't like if you said that to say like, who hasn't won an Oscar, who definitely will at some point. Oh, like Amy Adams. Right. If you said that to Amy Adams, you're like, well, Amy Adams will eventually win an Oscar, so that's very likely to happen. Kieran Culkin, you could not have predicted that he would find the one movie that would get him nominated and then he'd win an Oscar the next year. That's so insane.
That clip, I just love the way he tells that story.
He's a masterful comedian. He is
honey,
so good.
Love of my life, ye of little faith. Like just
yeah, but I mean, like, of course she had little faith. Like we didn't he didn't see himself there. That's what's so funny.
No, I know, but like it just.
I know it was great.
Oh God, it was that's
really
what that's what I love about award shows. Moments like that. There was another moment from last year. What happened last year? Oh God, there was another good. I
don't think
moment.
I remember much from last year.
Oh, there was another. I don't know. I saw that moment, and there, like I said, there's some other whatever. I don't know.
There's a clip of Kieran Culkin being asked something on the red carpet. I think someone, the reporter said, "Oh, there's this thing on the internet where people are wondering who would win in a fight between the Culkin brothers and the Skarsgård brothers." And the look on his face, he was like, "Have you seen those guys?"
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, they would murder us. They would kill us. Maybe if one of them had a hand tied behind his back. I don't know. But it was just the funniest reaction. He was like, are you out of your mind? Those guys are giants. Yep. They would literally murder us. Yeah, I like watching all of the content ahead of time. It's like almost like a game for me when people get nominated. Then I'm like, okay, let's see how many of these I can watch so that I feel informed. Mm-hmm. And I also like the fashion. I do love I love watching the fashion. I love the dresses. I love like going online and talking about the dresses. Like that's probably not your thing, but me, yeah, no. That's part of the spectacle of it all.
What I used to like, I don't do this anymore, obviously, but what I used to like was watching Fashion Police. I used to like Joan and Kelly and all of them breaking it down.
Right. Yeah.
But since Joan has passed, it's just not the same anymore.
Yeah.
It's just not the same anymore.
No, it's true. It's true.
So this Canadian friend of mine here, folks, she's nuts. There's no way we're going to do this, but we're going to try. Top 10 shows of all time, go.
Well, I wrote it down, so it's not like I just caught them off the head. I mean, I cheated. I cheated. Because I knew what the question was. I mean, what we sitting here going, okay, but I didn't think about it too hard, so I'm probably missing a ton. Lost, Buffy and Angel. I'm just going to call them one show. I think that's fair. The West Wing, Veronica Mars, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, Gilmore Girls, Everwood, Scrubs, Friday Night Lights, and Battlestar Galactica with wild cards, Ted Lasso, and The Mindy Project. Those are my... Cool. Yeah. There's probably lots that I'm forgetting. And it's funny because I'm looking through and I'm like, God, there's really not, other than Ted Lasso, which is like a wild card. The funny thing is now, despite the fact that all I do is watch streaming, every single one of these shows is from almost a different era, except maybe Crazy Ex-Girlfriend before streaming was a thing. And I think that's because we don't, at least I don't, rewatch things in the same way that I used to because there's just too much to watch. So there's so many shows that I watch now and I love, but they don't retain the same spot in my head or my heart because I don't have this DVD that I am then rewatching over and over and over, and sometimes you'll go back and watch episodes here and there, or occasionally watch a whole series with a person who hasn't seen it yet. But even then you'll often pick one of these series instead of the newer series. So it's interesting because it's definitely, I think it's changed the game. And it also could be that those are the shows from my relative youth, not like youth, but like my 20s, most of them, 20s, maybe some like early 30s. So that those tend to, I think, stick with you being from a part of your life that's very formative, I bet if you asked a lot of people who were in their 50s what their favorite shows were, some of them would pick shows maybe a decade earlier, or vice versa. I don't know. Maybe not. Yeah, TV's changed a lot, but for sure, I just noticed as I was writing that down that, I could, if I went back through all the shows I recently watched and tried to think, would any of these make the top 10? I'd have to really think about it. They don't come instinctually to me when someone asks me, literally when someone says go, this is what came to mind pretty much immediately. I just had to write it down. Yeah,
absolutely.
But yeah, like that's interesting. I just find that interesting, intriguing. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. This question is going to be difficult for me when I end up answering these questions because honestly, I know some, but I don't know. Like, it's no disrespect to them, but I don't know many off the top of my head. Who are some of your favorite TV writers and why? Like, I don't have writers in my brain as much as I have actors and actresses.
Oh, see,
I wish I did.
I feel like I have the opposite. I mean, the actors are in my brain, but I don't think of them as the architects in the same way. So the writers are the people that I really fanned over. But it's complicated. It's complicated because a lot of my favorite writers, or who used to be my favorite writers, I still admire their work, but I would no longer consider myself a fan of them. So like Joss Whedon, for example, was always someone who I just adored his work, but him as a person has become quite problematic. Amy Sherman Palladino, who wrote The Gilmore Girls, I don't love her politics either. But what I liked about their writing, and also Aaron Sorkin, who's also one of my favorite writers, and he wrote The West Wing and Sports Night and Studio 60 and all that stuff. What I like about the way they write is it's very intentional and very fast paced, lots of dialogue. Aaron Sorkin kind of is the king of like the walk and talk, where the actors would just walk around the space of the show and like kind of give a ton of exposition and banter and like just keep talking and walking. There was never any like dead air. And Amy Sherman Palladino is very much like the female version of that. Like the Gilmore Girls is just full of constant chatter, constant quippiness. That's a very intentional kind of writing that is very stylistic, and it's one that doesn't involve a lot of ad-libbing or improv. Like, the people, Lauren Graham and other actors on Gilmore Girls have said, like, you would get stopped if you said and instead of the, and she would say, no, it's the, or no, it's and, because it's the flow of the words that really mattered. And having said that, the other style of writing that I really like is the way that Jason Katims would write, and he was the one who did Friday Night Lights, where it's so realistic, it feels like it's not really written, which is the opposite. Like, you watch The West Wing and you're like, someone wrote the shit out of this, right? Like, or you watch Gilmore Girls, you're like, obviously no one talks like this. This is a style.
Yeah.
But when you watch Friday Night Lights, it's very minimalist, and it feels like the characters are having authentic conversations that often they feel so realistic that it does feel as if they haven't been written, although they obviously were. And that's very different, but I really like that style as well. So he is one of my favorites. Rob Thomas, who did Veronica Mars. I love Mindy Kaling. I love Bill Lawrence, who did Ted Lasso and who did Scrubs. And Dan Fogelman, who wrote This Is Us. Now, we did that podcast together, and we both talked about how we never finished the show because it was just a lot. He writes relationships so well, and I think This Is Us was a little bit challenging because the show was just all about relationships, and so it's just like you're watching people like in all of the sort of the ups and downs of life, but nothing else. That's like the main meat. I found that a little tough to get through. Yeah. But he also wrote Pitch, which I am obsessed with, which is just a 1-season show. And he's currently a writer on Paradise, which is a Hulu show that I'm watching right now. And I really love, because it's more of like not exactly, kind of, it's more like a mystery, kind of very episodic, not very episodic, the opposite of serialized. That's what I meant to say. Serialized show about a strange thing, which I don't want to spoil.
Okay.
And it was an interesting show for him to write because I see him as like a relationship writer. What I love about the writing in that series is that it takes kind of the mystery element and the intrigue and all the plot twists of those types of shows, but then the dialogue and the interactions between all of the characters have that really authentic kind of heart and feel to it that you would get in This Is Us, but it's not too much because it's not the only thing that's happening. Which I feel is sometimes something that's missing from some of those shows that are very like concept driven, that they don't have that kind of good character interaction that really feels like authentic and hits you in a way you're like, oh man, that's a truth right there, right? So he's great at that, and I'm really appreciating his writing on that show. I just keep talking about it every time we watch the episodes with my husband, which I'm currently doing. I'm like, this guy, he does this thing. It's so good. He's like, okay. So yeah, I guess that's some of my favorite writers. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And again, it's no disrespect. It's more of, I need to see so currently we just wrapped up the Fast Saga series here on Studio 2009. Actually, no, we didn't wrap it up. We're interrupting it. Film 10 and 11 will be coming up next after this episode, folks. But we're in the middle of that. But we just wrapped up season 2 of Columbo, the Columbo Files, where my buddy Dave Draper and I are going episode by episode, going through Columbo. And for me, when I do research on the TV shows for the episodes, I look at the writer, I look and see what other things they wrote, or I look to see if I recognize the writer's name or whatever, and we just go and we just look at it. And Columbo has a specific sort of format. Sometimes they play with the formula, sometimes they don't. But I need to actively take note of the writer when the credit comes up on the screen for me to pay attention to. That's why my origins in TV watching episode, folks, it's probably not going to be until episode 250 of this podcast because I got a lot of research I got to do with some of these questions. So, and again, it's no disrespect to anybody. And I think, talking about earlier how you're talking about, certain people, we don't necessarily like the people, but we like the work that they did.
Yeah, and I would say that also there's different eras. Like the era of the TV writer, I think really didn't start until the late 90s, early 2000s, when it became about the showrunners and the creators, because the people that I mentioned are mostly, these are showrunner creators. That doesn't mean that they wrote every episode. That's the thing.
Right. Oh,
but they're the architects. Well, except for Aaron Sorkin. That man, I swear to God, he was writing Sports Night and West Wing at the same time. He wrote like, I want to say like 17 of 21 episodes he was insane. He was a bit of a control freak. And Amy Sherman Palladino, a little bit the same. But for the most part, I'm not necessarily talking about, the credit at the end of the episode. I guess more as I'm talking about that, the showrunner and the style and the guiding of that. And I think when people became super fans of TV, they started to become super fans of writers. Like I remember being a Buffy fan that you'd be fans of the people that wrote those, right? That was a big deal. And Lost too. When I was a big fan of Lost, we would go into the chat rooms and we would talk to the writers, and that was like our big thing, right? Like that's so-and-so's episode. That's so-and-so's episode, right? Especially season 1 with the classic episodes, like we were really into like who was assigned what episode and kind of how it played out. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, like I said, it's more of, you're right. I think it kind of, I think once the internet kind of took off and the whole internet TV culture of discussing TV on the internet versus going to the water cooler at whatever office job you had or whatever kind of thing, the conversation changed and it went online. You could then back when Twitter wasn't, well, it was always a cesspool, but back when it wasn't so much of a cesspool and you could actually reach out to people and, hey, I really liked the episode that you wrote last night, or really like this or whatever. Yeah. But like, for me, like I can remember, like, it's more so cartoons than TV shows, but like take Transformers, for example, as a cartoon. Buzz Dixon, David Wise, Michael Charles Hill, like all of those are separate writers of episodes of that cartoon. David Wise, may the man rest in peace. He's been gone 15 years now. Anyway, the point is that those are writers I remember off the top of my head because it's a cartoon and a franchise that I've been involved with pretty much my whole life, because I was 4 years old when that franchise started. Yeah. So that's my thing with the TV writer question here is when I get to getting my episode done for this, I have to do so much research on the TV shows that I've loved over my lifetime to make sure that I can have a list of people I can talk about. Like, yeah, I could talk about Joss Whedon and how I like certain episodes that he wrote of Angel and certain story arcs in Angel, because I'm sorry. Look, folks, anyone that's listening to my podcast knows that I have the opinion of opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. There are no hot takes. Opinions are opinions. Everybody's got one. Angel is better than Buffy, in my personal opinion.
I think it's some of the episodes of Angel are some of the strongest, I would say, for sure. I think it's a little bit of, I mean, I kind of have half. I don't get offended when people say that. I know some people are like, what are you talking about? I think Angel has a special place in my heart as well. And there were episodes on it that were really brilliant. I don't know if overall maybe some of the arcs weren't as strong. It's hard to say. But also I think that, it's when TV became less episodic that the showrunner and the creator became more of a thing. Yeah. So even if you I don't watch The Sopranos, but I know who David Chase is, right?
Exactly.
Even though, I knew Mark Cherry created Desperate Housewives and it was a whole thing, I know Matthew Weiner did Mad Men, even though I wasn't a Mad Men stan. And I think part of that is because they became bigger figures because they were guiding these like arcs and these sort of big serialized worlds. Whereas, in the episodic 80s and stuff, you really didn't know that as much. So those names didn't stand out in the same way. That was part of it as well. Not that they weren't great writers. I mean, they were amazing. They did amazing work, but it just didn't have the same cultural
it's like you're saying it's like you're saying the way that it changed, the way that TV shifted, the writing credit sort of changed. Whereas like you take Knight Rider, for example, another one of my favorites. You have Glenn A. Larson, who created the show. I think Glenn wrote a couple of episodes, but most of those you have, again, similar to Transformers, you have specific writers writing each episode kind of thing. And then you get down to, like you're saying, with Angel and with other shows, like take The Shield with Sean Ryan. You know.
That's a great example.
I love that series.
There you go. There you go. You just got one right there. Sean Ryan. He's one of your favorite writers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there you go. But it's one of those things where I want to make sure I have enough where I can, I never want to go into any one of these things and answer any of these questions on my own where it's like, I don't have an answer for that because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah, except for your honest answer is kind of that, I have writers I like, but honestly, that hasn't been the pull for me. I've never been, like that is your true TV watching habit, is that you don't necessarily probably watch TV from that perspective as much as maybe some other people do. And everyone has their own way of watching television, right? So
that's true.
There you go.
What defines a good story for you in television?
I think it has to have something to say about the human condition. I know that that's a little bit cheesy, but I think if you take, plot or mystery or anything else out of the equation, those are great to have and you need those. But if you don't have something to say that's deeper, whether it's a metaphor for something or whether it's just an insight that really hits people, that it's empty. And I think that's what makes a story really special is that extra insight, that extra level or layer.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's get to the celebrities. Who are some of your favorite TV actors and or actresses?
This is the trouble. This is the question I had the hardest trouble answering. And I think maybe that's because, I don't know, isn't everybody a TV actress now? I feel like there isn't the line there once was. You know what I mean? Where it's like, this guy does television, this person doesn't. You have movie stars winning awards for limited series, and Kathy Bates is in Matlock, and But I
had to start somewhere.
Yeah. So I think I'm just gonna go with Lauren Graham, just because she's sort of been consistently television and has been one of my favorite actresses for years. And if you take the whole run on Gilmore Girls and the whole run on Parenthood and a couple of other different series that she's been in, I think she would probably be consistently one of my favorites. I just really like her style. I like the comedy. I like the she's got it kind of she kind of does a similar thing, but altered a little bit, but she has a bit of a brand that I really enjoy, I guess I would say. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Is there a criminally underrated show that you think everyone needs to watch?
I struggle with this one too. It's like, is that right now or is it in the past? I'm not sure. There's so many shows that people that maybe aren't as famous as they should be, so I don't know. I mean, I think I had to go back in the past. I would maybe think that everyone should watch Everwood. I don't know that it's criminally underrated. I feel like it's very highly regarded, but maybe not the most viewed series of all time. So I'll go with that one. I'm going to say Everwood.
Somebody was trying to tell me, is it Little Things? Which one's the one about the Boston series? Oh God. It's
Better Things?
No, it's something Little Things. It's about these guys who are in Boston. One of them dies in a car crash or something. They're all
a million little things.
A million little things. That's what it is. Thank you.
He doesn't die in a car crash. It's suicide. He commits suicide.
Okay,
and,
commits suicide.
It's sort of like the remaining friend group is dealing with that, and
dealing with that. That's what it is. Yeah.
I think that lasted 4 seasons. I only watched the first one when I still had broadcast television, but I think I enjoyed that. It was pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know. I was at a weird place at the time, and I think it was Karen that said, "Oh, you should watch this because it's Boston, and it's Boston, and it's this, and it's that, and it's whatever." And I was like, I don't know about that, because I kind of got at the time when I watched the original season 1 promos and trailers and stuff for it, I'm like, this feels very sort of, but not really, but kind of This Is Us, and I don't know if I can go through
it. Is emotional. It's one of those shows is about.
Yeah, and I figured it would be, but I don't know. maybe I'll give it a shot one of these days. What's the one series cancellation that just destroyed you?
Itch. One season. I believe it was on Fox. I want to say Fox. Yeah, I think it was Fox. I don't remember even what year it was now. It got maybe 2015, 2014. I don't know. It was a while ago. And it was a Dan Fogelman series as well. I think it kind of hit the same time as This Is Us, kind of around. And I don't know if you remember the series, but it was about the first female pitcher first female like Major League Baseball player, and she was a pitcher.
Okay.
And they did a lot of work to make it very plausible. Like everything that they were saying could happen. It wasn't sort of like fantastical or over the top. It was sort of like really grounded, and the characters were fantastic. The relationships were fantastic. Mark Paul Gosselaar was the sexiest he has ever been with this like unbelievable the beard was so good. Like it's my favorite all-time beard. That's a weird question, but like if someone asked me, if someone ever for any reason, and why would they say to me, what is your favorite all-time fictional beard? And not like a person who's trying to help someone not know that they're gay, but like an actual beard.
Yeah.
It would be Mark Wahlberg's beard, or not Wahlberg. Sorry, Mark. Oh, where's my brain?
I don't think Mark Wahlberg can grow a beard.
I know he looks like he can't. Yeah, and he would look weird with one on his face too. Yeah, like would. Very weird. Yeah, his beard on that show. Mike Lawson was the character, and he was kind of the star of the team, but the aging kind of captain guy in his 30s, and it was so good. It was such a good show, and I was just heartbroken when they canceled it. And it was one of those shows where people were like, "Please pick it up," and like campaigns, but it didn't really work. And
2016, 2017.
Okay, so a little later than I thought. I still think about that show constantly, and I still rewatch. That's one that I rewatch a lot. That's the interesting thing about canceled shows is that they're easy to rewatch. Like It's really hard to be like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go watch all 10 seasons of The Office. That just feels like a lot, and then you're less likely to go back and watch any of it because it feels like work. But a show that is short and sweet like that, you're sad that it's gone, but then you'll also go back and rewatch those episodes a lot because it's doable. That's what I find anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
The reason people have watched Firefly so much,
Poor Firefly.
Yeah.
Oh boy. I need to get this. Well, by the time this episode comes out, it'll be out. But as of this recording, I just recorded a convention attention episode of Geekcast Radio where my buddies were talking about Emerald City Comic Con out there in Seattle, Washington, and how the convention had planned to do a Firefly reunion thing, and then everybody kind of canceled. And I'm like, oh, so it's just like the show.
Yeah, fair.
just crazy. So I missed one, folks, but let's go back and do this. What is your favorite run or story arc of a TV series?
Oh, yeah. I was thinking about this one too. It's interesting. I don't know that I really attach myself to specific runs or story arcs that much, or that stick out of my mind. Because I was trying to think like, okay, like if I'm watching like Buffy or Gilmore Girls, or like what would some of my favorite all-time story arcs have been on those shows? I have episodes, but I don't think really story arcs. I think maybe the closest would be on Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, when Rebecca finally got diagnosed. There was like a whole, I think it was season 3, where she got diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, and that was the arc of like, okay, this person's not just quirky and weird, but they're suffering from something that has never been diagnosed, that has affected their entire life. And somehow we're going to make it also funny and musical, but it was so true to life. There was like a song called My Diagnosis that is still I just think is like brilliant. I really liked how they handled that, because they kind of set up the series not really knowing how they were going to handle mental health, and what they knew they were going to do something with it. And that was like a really fantastic arc there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Kind of reminds me of Zoe's Infinite Playlist, or Zoe, whatever the Zoe's Playlist show was.
Yeah, except that series used existing songs.
Yeah, true.
the thing about Crazy Ex-Girl, oh my God, I could go on about Crazy Ex-Girlfriend forever, so I'm not going to. But what was fantastic about was that they were writing original songs every week that were both parodies of genres. So every song was sort of a parody of a genre, but also revealed original songs, but also the songs had so many layers to them that it was crazy. Like it would be, okay, this is a parody, but it's also revealing something about the characters, and it's also making a comment on society at the same time. So you'd have for example, you'd have a song called Dream Ghosts. There was a song called Dream Ghosts, which took place on a plane, and when the character fell asleep and she was dreaming about these three kind of like soul singers, very dream girls, right? And so it was a parody of that kind of genre, like the sort of the Supreme style kind of singing with these three sort of soul singers. So parody of that. It was also advancing the plot because the song was about the things that she was dreaming about and her like anxieties and everything. But then they threw in stuff like, we don't have dental and this, like, we're just dream ghosts. We don't have a good healthcare plan or something. Like weird, like layers that were also making comments on like all of these things about society. And you're like, oh man, there's so much here. So much. I feel like I feel like I've always wanted, if I had to do a podcast on one show, it would be that show. And I would just get in there because it's just unbelievable. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. What is one TV show you can watch over and over and over again?
Sports Night. Over and over and over again. That is the show that I go to if I just need a pick me up and I want to binge a series. Like, it's Sports Night. It is 2 seasons. It did sort of get canceled, although it was also kind of more like Aaron Sorkin was doing that and The West Wing at the same time. And he and ABC kind of like agreed, like he didn't move forward with it. It was sort of like he kind of half canceled it himself. That just is such a funny show, quippy writing, great characters. And I don't like sports or sports broadcasting, but I love that show. And I could and have watched it over and over and over again.
Very cool. Very cool. Is there one TV show that everyone watches or watch that you just can't get into?
Sopranos. I don't want to do it. I don't know why. I feel very stubborn. It's funny because I feel the same way about The Godfather as a movie. So I don't know if I just hate, like, maybe I'm just really stubborn about the mafia. I don't know. But I was like, it feels like this like weird, violent show with guy I don't care about who, like, I feel like I'm not going to like. And I don't know. It feels like homework I don't want to do. Yeah.
Yeah, The Sopranos. Oh, Tony. It's a good. So I watched. What was it? Where was it? Maybe it was on Max. I forget where it was. They did probably on Max. They did a documentary recently with David Chase celebrating. It was last year because last year is the 25th anniversary of the show. Talking about everything and talking about the late great James Gandolfini and how he portrayed that role and everything else. And it was a very interesting documentary, very interesting revisiting the show through the documentary. I haven't gone back and rewatched the show in a long time.
Yeah.
I think the last time I had seen it was when I had it on DVD, and that was a long time ago. I haven't had those DVDs in years. And I like the show for what the show is. It's not a bad show. It's just, I'm
sure it's brilliant. It just feels like homework to me, I think is what it is. It's just, I think whenever I sit down, I'm like, what do I want to watch? I'm like, it's like an Academy Award winning movie that doesn't interest me. That's how it feels like to me. It's like but those movies are short. You're like, oh, okay, I'll sit through Oppenheimer. Well, okay, Oppenheimer's not short.
Oppenheimer's not short. No,
it's short, like, relatively. It's one time and you're done. This feels like, it's a brilliant series that as a TV fan I should watch. But I'm also like, I don't know. I just don't want to for some reason.
I mean, yeah, I get it. Are there any TV shows you regret spending time with?
I watched the first season of Emily in Paris all the way through with a friend on Zoom during the pandemic. And when it was over, I felt like I came out of some sort of weird trance that was induced by like French accents and fashion. And then I was like, what the hell did I just waste my time on? it made me, I've never been more mad about, like, at the time I was kind of just watching it and being like, sure, this is kind of silly, I guess. I'm wasting time, whatever. But when it was over, I was like, what the hell? That was the most pointless thing. And I hate everybody in it. And it was just like, when I think about future seasons of that show, it just makes me so mad that they exist. I just hate it so much. I don't know. I felt like I got tricked. And then I was like, damn you. I obviously should have stopped watching after the first episode, but I didn't. Also, kind of Sex and the City, even though I watched all of it because I feel like I had to. And it was okay at the time. But in retrospect, I'm just like, I don't like these people. And they never really spoke for me in the way that I think spoke for a lot of women. I just wasn't as into it. And then sometimes, even though I don't really regret spending time on it until the end, I kind of regret it because it made me so mad, as Game of Thrones. Because it, like as I watched it, I enjoyed it. But now that I've seen how it ended, it kind of makes me want to go back and be like, no, I'm erasing that from my brain because it's so disappointing.
So I've said this before and I'll say it again. Back in 2018, 2019, HBO was doing we still had cable back then when Karen and I were living out in Gurnee, Illinois. And it's like, oh, HBO free weekend. You can actually watch all of Game of Thrones up to the current season. I was like, oh, okay, finally, I can actually give the show a try. I was literally going to give it an honest try. I wanted to see what everybody was all up in arms about. Now, I went in open-minded. I turned everything off. I turned my phone off. I turned everything. The only tab I had open in my browser was whatever Xfinity tab I needed to have open to get the HBO thing through Xfinity, through Comcast. And I was like, okay, Game of Thrones, Season 1, Episode 1, play. For the first 12 and a half to 15 minutes, all as they did was walk. I was bored out of my mind.
Yeah, I don't know. I really liked that first season. It was a character show.
They didn't talk. They didn't do anything. There was they didn't even brush up. Somebody just got hit in the face. Like they did nothing.
It's a little bit of an exaggeration, but yes, I see your point. It was very slow moving as a series for sure.
They did okay. I'm not expecting 1980s MacGyver. Magnum. I know it's a fantasy show. I know fantasy takes time. I understand that. They want to, I don't want to say pad out the plot, but they want to ease you into it. I'm sorry, 12 and a half minutes of walking and not even talking to each other? I
gotta look back. I have to look.
I gotta look back too, but
definitely not 12 minutes of no talking.
It just felt that way to me, but they did was walk. And I'm like, what? How did people get past this first 12 and a half minutes to get through the other 6 seasons of supposed awesomeness? And then after I stopped it, I went onto YouTube, and I just went onto YouTube just to get my YouTube subscriptions page up. And all of a sudden, here comes Sesame Street. Would you like to play a game of chairs?
Yeah.
The Sesame Street Game of Chairs skit is better than the 12 and a half minutes of nothing that I previously watched.
It was a phenomenon, yeah.
Yeah. Notice I said the 12 and a half minutes of nothing that I watched, not the entirety of the series. I'm only judging.
I'm sure that's true. Yeah.
I want people to understand what I'm saying. As you're hearing my voice, people, I'm only judging the 12 and a half minutes that I watched, not judging the rest of the series. And I'm not going to go back and try to rewatch it. Just how I'm not going to try to convince you to watch Sopranos. Hey, if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. That's fine.
Well, especially now knowing how it ends, what's the point? Everyone hates the ending so much. I don't know anybody who doesn't hate that ending. Not just the ending, the entire last season was it was just a give up. It was we're done with this. Let's just wrap it up.
Yeah. The last season was a little much, whereas the last season of Angel was awesome. I love season 5 of Angel.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, personally, I kind of want to slay the dragon. Not fade away. Oh, man. I'm sorry, though. That 100th episode, you bastards.
Yeah, that was hard.
Yeah, very hard. Do you have a physical or digital media collection of TV shows? If so, how large is it?
I still have my TV shows on DVD. I've last year I went through and I got rid of most of the cases except for the special ones, and I put them all in like a booklet because it was just taking up too much literal physical space. But I don't want to get rid of anything just in case. Well, who knows? I mean, sometimes things come and go from streaming, and it hasn't happened very often. But I'd like to know that I could put in a DVD of something that I like. I don't know how big it is. It's pretty big. I would say, I don't know, maybe 50 to 100 seasons or something. I used to have 360 something, but that was with my ex. It was a combined collection. And when we split, he got half of it, or not just half. We kind of went through and decided who bought this, who likes this more, who's, so he ended up with things. I ended up with things. Yeah. And, my husband has some, but not very many. He's got a lot more movies than anything else.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. My digital collection is a lot larger than my physical collection. Although lately I've been getting back into physical media over the last 3 or 4 years because, have you people seen what they're doing to digital media lately? Like, yikes.
Yeah, I don't really buy things digitally. I stream them, and then unless it's something that I can't find anywhere, that I really want to watch, I won't. In that case, I probably wouldn't buy a physical copy anymore unless it's like a collector's item. But I will. Like, I think I bought the whole season of Heart of Dixie at some point because I really wanted to rewatch it, but it wasn't streaming anywhere at that point, and so I was like, I'll just spend the money and watch it. But I don't really collect them in that way. And digitally, if I really want to buy it, I would probably just get a physical copy of it.
Well, yeah, but I'm really starting to, even though I still have all those streaming services that I have, but if things aren't on those streaming services and the only way that I have to get them is physical media, you bet your bottom bippy I'm going to go out and buy folks, we're pre-recording this. You're going to hear this at a later date, but as of this recording, Warner Brothers and their infinite dumbassery removed all of the classic Looney Tunes from Max. Like, really? Seriously? Oh, God, now I gotta go out and get all the classic Looney Tunes on physical media? Oh my God.
Yeah, the strategy has changed for what they show. Like, you would think that they would just have everything.
Is dumb. Yeah.
I don't really know what informs it, to be honest. I don't know the metrics. So it's kind of confusing to me because I would think, just as a casual observer without the financials in front of me, I would think that just putting everything you own on a platform, and at least if one person watches it, but I think it has to do with even though they own it, they have to, in order to have it streaming, I believe they have to pay certain people, creators or whatnot, to have it up there. And then I think that's what it comes down to. As far as I can tell, stuff that people don't watch very often, that becomes expensive for them, they just they disappear it, which is sad because to me that is a sad thing. Like, there are recent series that they made that they've just decided, oh, it's not worth to even have this on the platform. And one of the things I used to love about streaming was finding these gems that you didn't watch at the time. Like, I just watched the first season of Commander in Chief with Gina Davis on Disney Plus, and that's something that I just didn't watch at the time. And I was really into Gina Davis for a minute there because I was listening to her autobiography, and I've always liked her. But I was like, I want to go back and watch that, and I did. But I think stuff like that's not going to be as available anymore because I feel like, for whatever reason, they've decided it's not financially worth it for them unless it's really getting a lot of traction. So I don't know.
I know it's all about the numbers. It's all about the money. And I know Zaslav wants all the money. I get that. But here's the thing. If you repurpose specifically to the Looney Tunes, if you repurpose that and you the original Golden Collection DVD sets from years ago, those are obviously out of print. Those are astronomically priced on eBay now. Like, you can get them if you have the money to spend for DVDs from 2009, 2010, whatever. And that's great if you still have those, if you bought them when they were originally on sale. But if you're not going to have the catalog of essentially a Warner Brothers staple. I mean, this is the Looney Tunes we're talking about here. I don't care how many people watch or don't watch the dang things. Have them there just because to preserve, or release a new set every 5 years. Release a new complete series set every 5, Blu-ray, 4K, whatever you want to call it, 8K, 10K, 40K, whatever it is in 50, 70 years from now. Just keep releasing it to keep it going, to let people know, hey, this is what happened in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, you know, back in the 19th century, kind of 20th century, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I just can't believe, and that was one of the biggest things. That was one of the reasons why I originally subscribed to, at the time it was called HBO Max. It's now just Max. But like, that was one of the things, was like, you can watch all of the classic Looney Tunes anytime you want. Ad free, as long as you pay for the ad free tier. I'm like, oh, cool. I'm like, I can watch cartoons I haven't seen in 40 years. Yay. Awesome.
Unfortunately, I just don't think they care. And I think that's the way it's going.
That's very true, which sucks. They should care, because again, that, like, that's probably not going to net them a lot of money, but like, again, you see, that's the problem with streaming services. This is the problem with any subscription service, honestly. They're more trying to get the new subscriber than they are trying to keep the continuing. We need to have rewards for continuing subscribers, as well as, like, it's like, oh, like, I think lately I've been seeing, here's a free promotion for Audible, $6.95 for the first 3 months. I'm like, okay, cool. I haven't had an Audible subscription for a couple of years now. Sure, I'll sign up for $6.95 and get 3 months for that price. That's fine. Great. I'll probably cancel after that 3 months, but or whatever. But like, the point is, how about giving us, those of us who have had Netflix for 20 years, or those of us who have had Hulu for 20 years, or whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like, give the people that are continuously paying your constantly raising member fees, give us the rewards. How about that?
Yeah, they don't do it. That's for anything. I know. Unfortunately. Yeah.
Unfortunately. Dumbasses.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, was there ever a moment where you were like, that's it, turn it off, I'm done with TV altogether?
They didn't last very long. I think maybe a few. Actually, maybe the 100th episode of Angel was one of those moments, because I was so mad about that. I was so mad that they brought Cordelia back just for her to
kill her.
Die. That made me very angry, but it was emotionally impactful, and it worked once I stepped away from it. So I don't know. The other one, you know, the season finale, the series finale of Game of Thrones made me so angry that I was very jaded about that, because it just was so pointless, and it made me angry to the point where I don't know if I considered quitting TV, but I was very bitter and jaded. And then the other one might be the season finale of Lost, which I don't hate. And I do think that upon rewatch and some time and a step back, that it is successful and it does what it needs to do. But I think it was such an emotional journey for me, that whole series, that when it was airing, I couldn't even really finish it. I was just too upset by not even necessarily what was happening. It just felt like too much in the moment. And I literally had to take a couple days, and then I wrote a blog about it at the time, because it took that long to settle and to really be like, okay, how do I feel about this? This is a conclusion to a series that has been like in my life for a certain amount of time. And it was sort of the first fandom that I was living in real time with people and week to week. And yeah, that was a heavy one that I feel like kind of made me feel like in that moment that I'm like giving up. And then, but I always come back around.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. What are you watching right now, and what do you think our listeners should check out?
Well, as I said, not as much as I would like to be. I think everyone should be watching RuPaul's Drag Race, which I am watching. It's one of the things I consistently watch. And that means, whatever iteration of that, because there's a lot of them. There's Drag Race All-Stars. There's Drag Race Countries versus the World. There's Drag Race UK. There's Drag Race Down Under. There's a lot. And I watch them all because it's something my husband and I do together that's easy and fun and interactive. And I think everyone should watch them because they're great. In terms of scripted stuff that I'm currently watching, I do try to take a bite out of a lot of limited series because it feels like I can because they're limited. And they're over and you're not like, oh God. So Disclaimer is one that I watched recently that I really loved on Apple TV Plus. That was really good. I am watching Shrinking and Abbott Elementary. I think those are my two favorite comedies these days. And then slowly working my way through For All Mankind. I think I have one season left and there is another season coming. That's another Apple TV Plus series about fictional, what if the space race looked different and what if our relationship to space travel was more expansive and whatnot, and alternate history kind of series. I love that show. I just think it's so good. So that's something that I think everybody should watch. Oh, and Paradise. I think I mentioned that as well when I was talking about writing, but we're watching that as well, and that's really good. Really good.
Very cool. Very cool. What is your favorite TV show genre? Do you have different types of shows for different situations? Vegging out, date night, family night, group watching, that kind of stuff.
Well, I mentioned that RuPaul is I don't want to say date night, but it's sort of like a together time show. That's RuPaul's Drag Race. And I think overall my favorite types of shows are, I want to say dramedies, but what I really mean by that is just maybe shows that are either comedy or drama, but that have a lot of elements of both. So like a straight up comedy that's a sitcom isn't as appealing to me as one that has a lot of gravitas to it, like Scrubs did, or Ted Lasso. And a straight up drama can be appealing, but I often like it if it's a little bit more, there's a little bit more to it. Like if there's stylistic kind of comedy writing, like The West Wing or something like that. Those are kind of my all-time favorite. Like some of my favorite shows aren't that, but the ones that if I had to think of a genre, I think that would be a melding of those two things is usually my favorite thing.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Do you have my parents wouldn't let me watch that TV show story?
Yeah, well, they had to approve kind of everything that I watched up to a certain point. And so, like I said, we did the family nights where we watched certain things together, and there were the sitcoms that they would let us watch. And when I started to want to watch things on my own, like not something that they just stumbled across or that they put on in syndication, they would have to generally clear it. So I remember when I wanted to watch 90210 because people were talking about it at school. I think I must have been I don't know, maybe must have been like 13 or something at the time. My mom sat down and watched one episode with me, and it was the episode where Brenda gets someone robs the Peach Pit while Brenda's working there. And she determined I was allowed to watch that. But one show that she never let me watch that people were watching was Married with Children. She was like, no, you're not watching that. It's stupid. And I was mad about it at the time because I just felt like other people were watching it. But looking back, I'm like, yeah, no, that's the dumbest show ever. Why did I want to watch it? I'm glad she didn't let me watch it because it's so sexist. It's so horrible. It's the antithesis of everything I stand for. And I am really glad. To be fair, I did watch some of it in syndication later, and I would catch bits of it at friends' houses, but my mom never wanted me to watch it. And I'm now just like, yeah, good going, Mom, because that was a terrible show.
It had its moments. You're absolutely correct.
I know people like it, but I hate it.
I'm not defending it. What I'm saying is that I think that it's better in Instagram reels than it is in watching full episodes. Because lately I Instagram reel doom scroll sometimes, and certain clips will come up. Al was savage for this, or we can't believe Peggy said this kind of thing, and it's one of the not necessarily most famous whatever out of the show, but it's like anytime he goes after Marcy, or anytime he says something about Peg, or anytime Peg says something about him or whatever, and it is what it is. And it was a
funny writing.
Yeah.
It's just, it reminds me of Family Guy in the sense that, like, I don't know whether they're trying to be ironic or they're trying to be subversive, but at the end of the day, when you're watching it, it really just comes across like a sexist flub who hates his wife. The women are shrews or, like ridiculous or slutty, or it just, everybody is it's just a very kind of gender normative, like, sexist crap fest. And again, I have had people argue many times that it's trying to be subversive. And I know Family Guy is trying to be subversive, but I don't care because at the end of the day, it just, when I watch it, it doesn't come across that way to me. It just comes across like, oh, I get it. Ha ha. You know, like I don't, yeah, bugs me.
I think I'm not a Family Guy fan at all. I don't dislike it, but I've never watched the show all the way through, but I've seen plenty of clips. And I think where Family Guy for me, like where I enjoy it is like the parodies that they do. Like I keep seeing some of these Instagram clips where there's a clip where Seth is on the Graham Norton show, and I guess Tom Cruise is there too, and Graham asks him, didn't you do Taken? Didn't you do? He go, oh yeah, but we did Taken as Kermit the Frog. So Seth goes into Kermit the Frog and he starts doing the Taken speech to Tom Cruise and Tom. So it's that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I don't know. I grew up as a kid watching my mom is one of those moms where she knew I knew because she taught me the right way of TV is fantasy, TV is fiction, TV isn't real. It's perfectly fine if you watch this idiot white guy with his hand down his pants and the fact that he's a shoe salesman, which is nothing wrong with that job, but whatever. So it is what it is, but yeah, I was never going to aspire to act how Al acts.
Oh no, for sure. It's just that stuff kind of.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. All right, folks. We are going to be entering the TV fantasy funland. All of these answers are made up and the points don't matter. Yes, I stole that. But this is fictional. Anything that's said here stays here, even though it's on a podcast. So it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. But if you could own any house or pad in a TV show, whose house would it be?
I was thinking about this, and I don't know. Like I've never really been attached to that, but I feel like I watched the 2 seasons of Loot recently, and she's like a billionaire, and she does have a really cool house. So I'm gonna go with that because it looks like she's got a lot of stuff, and it looks fun.
Very cool. Very cool. Whose wardrobe would you want to steal?
Maybe Zoe in Heart of Dixie. Yeah, that's kind of my vibe. I'd steal her stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's like I know I'm not into like the super crazy stuff, like the Emily in Paris stuff or the Sex and the City stuff. Like it's a lot of crazy over the top stuff. Yeah.
If you could live in any TV verse, which one would you live in?
I am going to go with Crazy Ex-Girlfriend because I want to sing about my inner trauma and my inner feelings constantly. That would be amazing. I would love to just have like songs constantly about the depression and the mental health and like the traumas of childhood. I just think I think it'd be great. I would love it. I want to do that every day.
Oh, very cool. Who would be your top 3 TV characters you'd want to join you in a friend squad?
For sure, Lorelai Gilmore, because I want to hang out with her all the time. And then Paula from Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, because she is a crazy, loyal, like diehard friend who will do anything for you, crazy, illegal, all kinds of stuff. And then Veronica Mars, just because I feel like she could solve all your problems. Like if you were like, oh, can you fix this? She would, do some research and like create a plan. And she's cool and quippy. So, yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Reminder, folks, this is the TV Fantasy Funland. The answers are made up and they don't matter. So you ain't married. If you could date any TV character, who would it be?
It would probably be Luke Danes, I think. I think he's just really the ultimate good guy who's actually a good guy. I mean, the characters that I'm attracted to on TV, the ones that are in my ships, the ones that are most of the time are like, ooh, are people you would never want to be in a relationship with in your life. Like I'm a huge Sawyer stan from Lost, but like, you don't want to date that guy. What? Not really. He's got a whole bunch of stuff that the sexy bad boys with the heart of gold, they're meant for television and they serve a place and they're amazing. And it doesn't make them bad. They always end up being good people, but they would not make very good boyfriends. That's for sure. So yeah, Luke Danes from the Gilmore Girls is kind of like, he's a funny guy. Yeah, he wouldn't let me use my cell phone, but he would like make me hamburgers and stuff. So, it'd be cool. Yeah, I'm into that.
I'm surprised she didn't go really old school, folks. Brandon or Dylan?
God, no, neither of those weirdos. I never really understood that at all. At all. Ew. No, I mean, especially not Dylan. I guess, well, see, now Dylan, like now, but like at the time, I was like,
Yeah.
this man is 30 years old. I can see that. We can all see that. Like,
Yeah,
what
we
is
can all see
happening?
that. Yeah, we can
You
all
know, it
see
wasn't
that.
really,
No,
yeah,
no.
for sure.
And the only
And, you
other
know,
one I would.
and any of those shows, those people are always terrible boyfriends because shows that are about relationships, generally they're just cheating on you constantly and hooking up with new people. And like, it's yeah.
That's
a lot.
That's very true. The only other two I would think of is it would be a very weird choice. Charlie or Bailey? Matthew Fox or
God, I was like, who are those people?
Scott Wolf.
Scott Wolf. Yeah, I don't know. I watched Party of Five. I was not into either of them or really. I was one of those shows that I think because again, we had cable and it was connected to other shows that I watched, but I was never really like super into it. I don't think.
All right. Well, final choice. Angel or Spike?
Absolutely, Angel. I don't understand people's look. Spike is funny.
He is.
But that character arc has always bothered me because it goes against everything that makes sense in the universe. I don't like it. I don't understand it. I think to me, Ultimate Spike is season 4 Buffy Spike, where he wants to be mean, but he can't because he isn't able to. So he's just kind of neutered, but he's around kind of helping out, kind of against his will, but he's so funny and such a kind of a jerk. That to me is Ultimate Spike, where he's just kind of like, you know, an asshat.
Yeah.
That is forced to help them out.
Yeah.
I enjoy that. I don't understand this moony Spike. I mean, I do love like villain Spike from season 2 and 3, but I don't like moony Spike. I don't like Spike with a soul. And I don't think the soul thing makes sense because I don't like how he's not evil without a soul. That's stupid. Angelus is either Angelus or he's Angel. He's either evil or he's not evil. Where is this in between thing?
Exactly.
That goes against the entire concept, the entire vampire lore that they have set up. And they only did it because Spike was popular. And I don't like that. That bugs me. Yep. That's my little Spike rant. But no, and I don't think he's that attractive. And like the actor's fine and he's cool, but like, no.
Yeah.
Definitely Angel. Yeah. Although neither of them really. I mean, if I had to pick anyone from the Buffyverse to date, that's a good question. It's actually a very good question. Yeah, Oz is a pretty good boyfriend. That's fair, but I think it would be Gunn before they ruined him.
Oh, wait. When do you think they ruined him?
Season 5.
Lawyer? Really?
Not because he was a lawyer.
Oh,
okay. So it was end of season 4, beginning of season 5. But they kind of not because he was a lawyer, but they turned him into something different. Like there was that whole. This is unpopular opinion, folks, but I love Fred and Gunn. I thought that was a fantastic pairing. That was unusual. Wesley was the obvious choice, and I loved how they made it. She chose Gunn instead.
Yeah.
Because it was this different pairing and they were really sweet together. But then they just tanked that relationship without a lot of thought. I don't know. I think it was like once Joss Whedon got back involved with the show a lot more, he wanted Wesley and Fred to be endgame. That's my guess.
Yeah.
And I understand that they did make it sweet in the end, but I always felt like they did a disservice to that Fred and Gunn connection. They just kind of, that thing with his professor where she could never trust him again because of what he did. And he did that for her. It was stupid. I didn't like it. Made me mad. Now we're just getting out all of my anger about different things in the Buffyverse. Let's just end this episode on that.
No, it's good.
But yeah, I really liked like Gunn season 2, 3, kind of 4 the end of the Fred relationship. Gunn. I thought, he was fine. Yeah. I didn't like certain things. They kind of made him like more morally schmucky and a little bit like I liked him as a lawyer. That was a cool idea. I just didn't like how they just made Wesley this like paragon of like virtue, which was weird, and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I think I would choose Gunn. Yeah.
Very weird. Very, very weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spike, the best. I think the best line Spike ever had after like for me, but and yeah, folks, I know we've gone into Buffy, Angel, fine, whatever. Honestly, it's getting my brain cells working on things here. You don't want to know, not yet, anyway. But honestly, I stopped watching Buffy. Was it the end of season 3 when they graduated high school?
Yeah,
that's when I stopped. I never went back. I switched over to Angel. I never went back. I switched over to Angel. I saw certain episodes here and there, but I never watched it to follow along with the story. I did see the series finale because you have to kind of watch that to see the end of it. But for me, the best lines that Spike ever said after his season 2, season 3 stuff in Buffy was when it got to season 5 of Angel. Oh, hey, boss, put another car in the drink. Spike, get out of here. You're, don't say it, Spike. You're a bloody puppet.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. So
love Smile Time.
Smile Time is one of the best episodes of television ever, and that's how I feel about some of the stuff they did on Angel. And Angel season 5 in general, I love the concept of, but there were things I didn't like. I didn't like the inclusion of Spike. That didn't mean that he didn't have episodes that he was good in. But
right.
Overall, I felt that was simply a weird fan service. Like, oh, this was a really popular character. He still wants to do this character. Buffy is over. Let's bring him on to Angel. I thought that was cheap, and I also thought it undercut Angel. I felt like Angel, that is his show, and I felt like it was sort of this weird thing. Like, I didn't like it, and I didn't like what they did with Gunn's character, but there were lots of fantastic moments in season 5, and I think overall it was really powerful. Yeah,
folks, I don't know if she's going to be up for it, but I think I just talked myself into spending the next 2 hours creating a Buffy and Angel list. Oh God.
Maybe another time. I would love that.
Well, no, I'm saying me, not you. I'm saying literally taking the next 2 hours, making a list, and figuring out whether we're doing it by season or by episode or whatever, and just, oh man.
It's one of the things I made my husband do when I met him, because he had never seen any of it, is we slowly watched, I think from 2014 when we started dating until I think we finished just before we had our first son, 2019. We did all of Buffy and Angel. We would do like a season at a time, take a break, go back.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I feel like maybe that's like a requirement for dating me, is you can't be in a relationship with me and have like never seen this. At least you don't have to like. He liked parts of it. He just, he's not a huge fan. He enjoyed parts of it more than others. But he has to at least have that in his vocabulary, or it's like he's not speaking the same language as me.
So you gotta. So the other thing I thought of is, even though it's technically not canon, if we do go down this road, folks, we have to start with the movie first.
Yeah, I mean, it's a movie in and of itself that is amusing, right? It's different. I don't hate it.
No, I don't hate it either. Yeah. Anyway. All right, we are now exiting the TV fantasy funland. Is there any storyline or subject or something you're dying to see more of on television?
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I like where television is going, I think, for the most part, which seems to be the opposite of where humanity is going, which is more diverse characters of all different genres, a ton more television that features lead characters of different races and different abilities, more juicy roles for women, more roles for women of certain ages. I will say I like this evolution, and that's happened mostly through streaming, of shorter seasons and limited series. I think that has given television more teeth and more interesting content, for sure. More of that. Yeah, I don't know. There's nothing that I'm like, I have never seen this on TV. I think also there's so much on television that there's probably a ton that I hate that I just don't watch. And then there's a ton that I love that I do, and a ton I haven't discovered yet. So I feel like there's just a lot. And I don't know that there's anything that I'm missing. Like, I can't think of I've never seen a show about this, or Yeah,
the discoverability is enormous, especially with the internet, especially with all of the streaming services, whether it's a new TV show to you, whether it's a new TV show specifically to like 2025, 2024, whatever, or whether it's an old TV show that, again, whether it's new to you, even though it's an old show, or if it's an old show you're going back to, you can still, like I said, my buddy Dave and I are going through all of Columbo, all 10 seasons, and like, and after that, we've got other ideas that we're going to be doing. I think we've even mentioned it on the podcast. He's a big fan of Homicide: Life on the Street. We're going to be doing that.
That's a show I should watch at some point.
Yeah. We're also going to be doing Diagnosis Murder, because I was a huge fan of that.
Oh my God. That's like my grandmother I remember watching Diagnosis. Yeah. Anything with like Diagnosis Murder, and what was the other one? It was
Matlock.
I think Matlock. Yep. Matlock. Oh God.
Yep.
Those were the two.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. You got the lawyer and the doctor rolled up into one.
And the people that she was in love with from her generation, she was just like all about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like the lawyer better than I like the sheriff. I'll tell you that, folks. Old Andy's better than young Andy.
Yeah.
There you go. There's a hot take, folks.
What was the other one that she used to be? Oh, Rockford Files. That was the other one.
Yep.
Rockford Files too. Yeah.
Jim Rockford. Yep. What is the one piece of advice you would give the TV watching fandom in general?
I mean, I don't know, because it's so large and diverse. Like, it's hard to say, like watch TV. I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's just and take recommendations from friends. I think that's always I think sometimes, especially now when a lot of things, they are discoverable, but there's also an overwhelming amount of content that like take chances on shows that are quirky or small, that someone who you trust, who you think might have the same taste as you, recommends to you. That's how people watch Ted Lasso, right? They watched Ted Lasso not because everyone was like, let's go watch Ted Lasso. They watched Ted Lasso because someone watched Ted Lasso and then went, this show is a cupcake and a teddy bear all in one, and I've never felt so happy. Watch this show. And then people were like, okay, yeah. And then the next person was like, why do I want to hug this show? It's something special. It's a special experience, right? Like, that's how shows like that get watched. So just continue to watch those shows and then tell people about them.
Yeah, I would also say on any of your streaming apps, folks, if you're looking for stuff, if you don't know what you're looking for, use the genre tabs. Like,
really? Yeah, I don't. Yeah, okay.
Use the genre. Like, go to the action tab, go to the comedy tab, go to the drama tab, go to whatever tab you want to go to, and just cycle through those and discover them that way. Honestly, sometimes Instagram is the best way to discover certain things. If I wasn't already kind of sort of paying attention to some stuff that Tim Allen does in his career, I think it was Instagram is how I found what's the hell's the name of the damn show? The new show. Oh God, I just had it. Is it Shifting Gears? Yeah, Shifting Gears is Tim Allen's new comedy. If I
had no idea Tim Allen was still doing things, because our algorithm is different.
Yeah. Just started it. Plays this. It's him and Kat Dennings. It's just started. Its first season's got 10 episodes. I think they're up to episode 4 or 5. I could be wrong. I think it's on Hulu. It should be. I don't know if it's on Hulu in Canada, but it's on Hulu.
We don't have Hulu, really. We have.
Okay, well, you have Hulu somehow, some way. We're not going to talk about how you have.
No,
Hulu.
I don't. I mean, like, I don't know, because most of the stuff that would be on Hulu would be on Disney Plus here.
Yeah. I'm sure that's probably
it's not quite the same, but I don't think it's the one, or some of it might be on Crave. I don't know.
Yeah, it might be.
I can usually find most things that I want to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it is. There are a couple things that I will search for. Like I got a subscription to City TV for like a week at a time, just so I could watch Found, which I haven't watched second season of yet, which also has Mark Paul Gosselaar, also in a beard. So there's a thread because the truth is, if you're going to have a show and it's got Mark Paul Gosselaar and he's got a beard, I will watch it. That's it.
So
that's a thing you can put in a show. If you're like, how do I get this person to watch the show? Just give Mark Paul Gosselaar a beard and I'm in.
Yep. So the only way you're going to get her to watch Saved by the Bell, folks, is if you draw a beard on her television every time Zach.
I've seen Saved by the Bell, but yeah. Obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
Obviously, yes. All right, folks, we're going to go to a quick podcast ad break. And here's some podcast ads, some other stuff. We'll come back to close the show right after this.
Hello, geeks and geekettes! Looking for a podcast that covers a vast array of topics? Then check out Altered Geek Unleashed, where we discuss our thoughts on this week's geeky news, tech, gaming, television shows, movies, cartoons, comics, and more. So, get altered, get geeky with the Altered Geeks. Every Friday on the Geekcast Radio Network.
Hi, welcome to Up Nerd. What is Up Nerd? Up Nerd is a podcasting network of shows hosted by me, The Uneven Flow. People have told me I like to talk at them about a pretty wide range of topics, comics, games, movies, books, whatever, and now I'll be able to talk at you. Along with the weekly show will be 2 bi-weekly shows. First we have Find You Pick, a show where one host picks a movie, then both hosts have to watch it. Then the next episode, the other host picks the movie. Each show will have a breakdown of why it is that movie was picked by that host, after which will be a discussion about what it is we just watched. Lastly, we have the show Top 3, Bottom 3. Similarly to Find You Pick, one host picks a television series, and the next week, the pick alternates to the other host. Here, the episodes of the show are chosen by the top 3 episodes and the bottom 3 episodes, as rated on imdb.com. Yes, this is probably the worst way to watch and review a television show, and yes, that's the idea. On our shows, I'll detail out how you can suggest things for us to watch. You can reach out and talk with the hosts, and maybe even appear on an episode. I hope you'll join me for this exciting new podcast adventure. I swear we're going to make it more than 8 episodes.
On the Simplistic Reviews podcast, we talk movies. We talk TV. We talk...
Hello, Julie, what the heck are you doing?
Trying to make our spots sound more exciting by adding explosions.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you could have got the point across with sound effects, not the real thing.
Download the show on iTunes or at simplisticreviews.blogspot.com.
I'm sure your insurance company will cover that.
No, they won't.
No, they probably won't.
We are back here inside Studio 2009, and we're about to close it out, folks, for episode 150. We got 50 to go to 200, folks. We got 50 to go. Studio 2009 is going to be ongoing with various series, movies, other stuff. I am probably, like I said, after this episode recording, probably going to spend the next 2 hours figuring out a Buffy and Angel thing, but it is what it is. Anything you would like to promote, ma'am?
No, I do not have anything to promote, sadly. I am promoteless. Unless anyone wants to. I would like to promote someone babysitting for me, but that's probably not going to help. So.
Not since this episode will be in the future. So yeah. I don't think that's going to help you now.
No, that's true. Yeah.
All right, TV fans, we want to thank you for joining us here at Studio 2009. If you'd like to get in contact with us, leave feedback for the show, there are several ways to do so. Visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can listen to and comment on all of our content. You can also visit shop.geekcastradio.com, where you can get t-shirts up to 4XL. You can get mugs. You can get, I don't know if you can get mouse pads, but you can get gamer pads. You can get glasses and a bunch of other stuff. We actually have a glass pop can. It's basically a glass, but it looks like a soda can.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. I need to get me one of those at some point. You can send an email to feedback@geekcastradio.com. You can check us out on all the podcatching clients you choose to use, Apple, Android, all that good stuff. You can follow us on Twitter. Yes, it is still called Twitter for those of us who are Twitter loyalists, and we don't follow Cologne.
Are you in Blue Sky?
Yes.
You're on Blue
I'm
Sky, right?
Sky too. Yeah, I'm on Blue Sky. TF2 and Mike. But see, that's the only problem I have with Blue Sky is like, oh, the thing has to be your name plus the dot plus the Blue Sky plus the
I know
like,
it's not perfect, but
can it just be an at? Like,
I know.
Just be an at, man.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Twitter, at Geekcast Radio, at It's Studio 2009 for the show. I am at TF2 and Mike. You want to give your Blue Sky out or no?
No, only because then I have to look up what you just said, which is off the top of my head.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's the problem with Blue Sky. You can go to facebook.com/Geekcast Radio Network. You can also check out Studio 2009 podcast over there as well. Join us next time when we will be getting back to the Fast Saga. This will be part 10, where my buddy Sean and I will be getting to F9, the Fast Saga from 2021. This is the one where John Cena comes into the franchise as Dominic Toretto's brother. So there's that. For now, I am TF2 and Mike with
Jennifer Kaufman.
You'll hear us back in the studio soon. Hello, folks. TF2 and Mike here from the Geekcast Radio Network. Well, there you go, folks. The debut of Origins in television watching, Origins in TV watching with Jennifer Kaufman. Oh boy, well, that's the launch, folks. Origins in TV watching is here. Inside Studio 2009, only on the Geekcast Radio Network. I am coming to you live, sort of, kind of, not really, but it kind of is live because I need to tell you that everything I just said in that outro about what's coming up on the podcast has completely changed because we recorded this episode months ago. We recorded this at the beginning of 2025, and it is now practically the end of 2025. So yeah, we are still doing Fast and Furious 6. That will be the next episode. After that, Steve Megatron and I recorded an episode for Idiocracy in November. Since November is kind of practically almost here, we are going to be doing a discussion. Steve and I are going to be doing a discussion on the new Eddie Murphy documentary that's coming out on Netflix called Being Eddie. After that, Steve and I have to do something else for 154 for the podcast. And then in December, you're going to get 12 months of Star Wars, A Disturbance in the Force, and then the Andor Season 2 discussions that David Draper and I did earlier this year. 2025 has been rough, folks. It really has. It's been lots and lots and lots and lots of setbacks for me. So I didn't get to do everything I wanted to do this year with the podcast. There were so many 25th and so many 30th and 35th and 40th anniversaries that I wanted to get to do, and I don't know if I'm going to get to do them before the end of the year. I'm going to try my best to get to these, but I just don't know. I honestly just don't freaking know. I also wanted to launch the new series that I've pre-recorded, that I have plans for, that I'm not announcing just yet, but we've got a lot of pre-recorded content that has already been recorded, that's been recorded for months. And I can't just release it because I have it set at a certain episode number. And I'm an anal retentive podcaster. I've been an anal retentive podcaster for almost 17 years, coming up December 12th of this year. And yeah, the podcast numbers are going to be going into the episode descriptions. I'm not going to have them in the title anymore because Steve says it doesn't work with SEO anymore. And that's fine, but folks, I'm sorry. I'm doing the best I can. I've always been transparent with you guys, and everything is coming. Everything that we've already done, everything that we've already pre-recorded, it will happen. It's just taking longer than I wanted it to. And the only reason why it's taking longer than I wanted it to is because I had to have ulnar nerve and carpal tunnel surgery on my left arm. and my left arm is the only good arm I can use in life. For those that don't know, for if this is your first podcast episode ever, I was born with cerebral palsy on my right side. I have no actual use out of my right hand. None whatsoever. My right arm is essentially a crook. By that I mean I can put a cup in it, I can put a can of soda in it, I can put a box of Kleenex, a thing of paper towels. I can hold stuff with my arm, but I have no actual dexterity or function out of my hand. So when my left hand got injured earlier this year, when I hit my elbow against a wall or something by accident, and it screwed up my ulnar nerve, everything went to hell. And I had to have surgery on it, which basically put back and pushed back everything here for Studio 2009. That's the only reason why I'm saying any of this stuff, folks. But you all know that I'm very honest, and I do reveal some of my personal life stuff to the audience. But yes, this was Origins in Television with Jennifer Kaufman, episode 150. As I've mentioned before, Steve Megatron and I launched Studio 2009, I believe it was June 20th, 2020. 6/2020. So, yeah, in 6 years, we've reached 150 episodes. Very, very awesome. I have plenty of plans to get us way more episodes down the line. And if the plans that I have now, if I have to delete the whole thing of it being a 20th or a 40th anniversary, I'm still going to cover those films, but I'm still going to try like hell to get as many episodes out as I can between now and December 31st. Studio 2009, I've gone a little crazy with, as you can tell, folks. There have been some times where Studio 2009 has been daily. That has been my dream since day one when I started the TF2 podcast back in December of 2008, was to have a daily podcast. Granted, it wasn't recorded daily, it wasn't edited daily. It wasn't edited daily or anything like that, but once I got all the production done, I could then release it daily. And we've done that with Columbo, the 2 seasons of Columbo that Dave Draper and I have recorded so far. We do have the 3rd season recorded and ready to go. I just have to edit it and all that. But I hope you all enjoyed the new entrant into the GCRN Origins, the Origins in Television, 30 questions about your TV watching habits. I have plenty of guests coming up for the Origins in Television series, so there's that, folks. Thank you again to everyone who has listened. You all mean the world to me, so thank you so much. And yeah, tune in next time for The Fast Saga. This is what part is this? This is part 5. This will be Fast and Furious 6 from 2013. Coming up next, here inside Studio 2009, only on the Geekcast Radio Network. Talk to you later, folks. Oh yeah, and unleash the geek in you.